his machines, artificial learning, and all that other crap that he throws out there, he successfully managed to gain a certain level of credibility in the eyes of mainstream media. And accordingly, the damages that result from his lies about Nate the lawyer are that much more effective and powerful and damaging to Nate the lawyer. And that's why all of this lead up to this is so important, because it just spells out and narrates and walks a judge carefully and yet without dawdling and wasting time into understanding why it is that these claims actually have real meat on the bone. That this guy is completely full of crap. He has a history of being full of crap. He's always been full of crap. He has a new thing here that Twitter says is crap, doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and we see by examples how crappy his ability to determine what's someone who's disruptive and dangerous or problematic versus someone who's normal. And despite the fact that all of this, now he's going out and he's throwing his attacks at Nate. And he also laid out earlier how Nate's reputation and credibility is so essential to his livelihood. And this now, once we start reading this, now at this point already, we're able to understand just how damaging his lies about Nate have been. If either of you gentlemen are here when I weigh in, by all means, feel free to jump in. I don't know. I know it's late, but yeah. Well, anyway, I'm going to cover some of the super chats, and we'll get to and then I'll move forward. I'm me. Welcome as the newest member of the following. You are now the leader of the following. All hail, I'm me. All hail, I'm me. God bless. May you lead the entire following to greater community, stronger unity, and far superior personal growth. Doug says, great work, gentlemen. Hope you can shut this scammer down. Indeed. I hope that they're very effective in what they're trying to do here. Megan Bailey says, 38-hour drive, but worth it to get the hell out of California. Finally out of the military as of 2 days ago. Well, good. Congratulations to you. And I'm on getting out of the military, and thank you for your service. And yeah, congrats on getting the hell out of California. My God. I mean, it's nice to visit. Certainly wouldn't want to live there, that's for sure. Thank you for the super sticker, Tish. You're too kind as always. And thank you as well, Gen X Boomer. Let's go, Brandon. Lori Jeannie Lister says, Nate, I'm so thrilled that you have a lawyer of the caliber of Ron Coleman. This is brilliantly written. And yes, I love this sick too. He's so effective in those subtle jabs. It's so freaking effective and just friggin' delicious. So that's why look who's back.
Family life, man, you know.
I gotcha. You came back just in time to catch this really complimentary super chat here. I'll read it again. Nate, I'm so thrilled for you to have a lawyer, the caliber of Ron
thank
Coleman.
You, Lori Jean.
Brilliantly written. And yes, I love the sick too. Yeah. I just summed up
sick burn.
I just summed up how we're at paragraph 69 here, and you've already basically spelled out why it is that Nate's credibility is so important to him, just how utterly untrustworthy Chris Bouzy is based on his history as a serial entrepreneur, just how utterly unreliable his ability to determine a bot is, unreliable his ability to determine who's disruptive from who's normal, and over here by this point already, how despite his utter unreliability, mainstream media genuinely relies on him, and the point being that their reliance on him only and his ability to prop himself up despite any real legitimacy to the product that he's created, thereby makes his defamatory words and his casting Nate in a false light way more damaging than if it was just done by some jackass who happens to have 100 or 1,000 followers on Twitter, or even as someone who had similar numbers but isn't regarded as someone who understands, who knows a valid, legitimate Twitter user from a bot or some stan or whatever. that he has now successfully duped mainstream media into relying on him, and thereby his words are far more financially damaging to Nate, who relies on his credibility for his livelihood.
It's true.
All right, there we go. Joseph says 5 Bouzy bucks for the word festooned. Thanks, Ron. Sandra Ramirez says, how am I more disruptive than Nate? Are my pub videos that disruptive? I can't tell you, Sandra. I don't know. Maybe you once said that Amber Heard legitimately lost the trial, and that's what got you. Who knows? I don't know. It certainly wasn't because you used a racial slur. We know that. That's not what got you knocked down. Tisha Tennessee says, I got this one already. Gen X Boomer says, this is only a test. I hope the test went well for everyone involved. Mo Zamboni says, Nate is a wonderful person. I do not agree with a good amount of his takes, but he is a joyous, authentic person of strong character, and I deeply hope to share a drink with him at some point. God bless. Indeed. I agree with every word of this. So, and Linda Benigno, newest member of the following. Welcome to the following.
Hi, Linda.
Yes. You know, Ron, I don't know if you know this, but the newest member of the following becomes the de facto leader of the following, because I'm not the leader. I'm not the leader of the following. The newest member of the following becomes the de facto leader. So I say to Linda Benigno, all hail Linda Benigno. All hail Linda Benigno. Well done. Where am I at here? All right, I think we're moving forward here. Also on July 18, 2022, the UK Independent published an article entitled Amber Heard subjected to one of the worst cases of cyberbullying during the Johnny Depp trial, study finds. Report looking at anti-Heard Twitter campaigns during defamation trial with her ex-husband. The report, referred to by the Independent, was bought by Amber Heard from defendant BotSentinel. Now, I'll tell you this. I know, and I think you expect also, he's going to claim that Amber Heard never paid him any money, because his claims have gone back and forth. We've seen him say, you know, Amber Heard paid him in an interview or here and there, and then he goes on Twitter and saying, she never paid me, no one ever paid me, Megan never paid me, no one ever paid me. Can you offer the public? I don't, if you can. If you can't, you know, you need to sort of sit silent. So I will defer to that. But I'm just going to ask: are you able to offer the public any expectations as to how that, you know, how you're going to handle that? What?
I mean, if they didn't pay him, his behavior is even harder to explain.
Fair enough.
But I don't know that. I mean, I do know that there are multiple published sources that say they paid him.
Right. So there you go. Bouzy guns for LawTube. Now that we laid out the whole thing here as to where he's coming from and everything, and how he's already laid out that he labeled Nate as being disruptive. Now we get into how this conflict has rapidly escalated, starting in September of 2022. Bouzy turned his censorious attention to LawTube, who, as set forth above, had been critical of the defense presented by BotSentinel's high-profile client Amber Heard. I just want to show you something. I'm going to pause here. I want to pause and explain why it is that I gush over this complaint. This, what is it? 25-word sentence. Okay. Basically, there's so many tiny little elements that are just thrown into this one sentence here, which all sort of just are like one subtle hit at another. That first of all, he's reminding you that it's a client. He's also, and he's bringing back in the fact that, hey, we're returning your attention to the fact that LawTube was critical, because there's been, look, we're 72 paragraphs in. There's been so much talk about Nate and about LawTube, so much talk about how things work on a technical element with respect to tweets and super chats. So he's just encapsulating in one sentence here, in just a handful of words, that look, they're really confident that BotSentinel is motivated because they have, Amber as a high profile client, and this guy's job is to try and censor anyone who's critical, and it all just is so neatly compacted in. It's whatever. there are reasons that I gush over this. Various law tubers, including plaintiff, had also taken to sharing critical takes of the widely reported BotSentinel claims of widespread troll bot activity engaged in coordinated social media attacks on Heard. Bouzy, offended by the criticism, started using his Twitter account to focus attention on law tubers he deemed guilty of the same kind of, quote, toxic troll-like behavior, propaganda, and fake news he deemed inappropriate on Twitter, and demanding that YouTube delete their accounts. On September 17, 2022, Bouzy set his sights on plaintiff tweeting, "Next up is Nate the lawyer." He went from being the son of two crackheads, his words, a drug dealer, his words, a cop, and a prosecutor, to attacking journalists and me on social media. You would think someone with a law enforcement background would know better. Bouzy later deleted this tweet, as well as the tweets reproduced below, in which he doubled down on his attack on Mr. Brody's veracity and professional qualifications, publishing yet more tweets, also deleted later, insisting that Mr. Brody was lying about his credentials, would soon need a lawyer to defend himself against legal claims, and engaged in deceptive advertising. Below. And I don't know if I can pull it, if I can, let me try and move this over here. We'll make this So this first one here says, "I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for why we can't find him in a database where he claims he practices law. He might want to retain a real lawyer." So, and then he followed up with, "YouTube should really verify certain professional licenses before allowing them to claim they're doctors or lawyers. I can't tell if this guy is a legit lawyer or just a social media lawyer. Where does he advertise his services?" As if advertising his services is that's proof that you're a lawyer. If you advertise your services, then you're definitely a real lawyer. If you don't, then you're definitely not. That's maybe that's how he determines like a real person from a bot, is like, if he can find that you advertise your services somewhere, then you must be a real person. If you don't, then clearly you're a bot. That's probably would be a better yardstick than whatever it is he's trying to use for his algorithm there. While Nate the lawyer attempts to impress his gullible followers with a non-issue, I still can't find his bar association number or the New York Times, Forbes, and NBC articles he claims he was featured in, just social media profiles. I mean, think about this for a second. Like he's so audacious that even after, he sees that, look, this guy's claiming that Nate was claiming New York Times and Forbes and NBC had quoted him, and he still is like thinking like, yeah, all of them must have missed the fact that he's not really a lawyer. Like, wow. Just, and this to me is reckless disregard for the truth. When he's basically going out there, even if he had trouble spelling his name. I mean, come on. Do you really think everyone got it? I mean, look, to be fair, if I play Bouzy's lawyer for a minute, he saw how gullible and naive mainstream media is. So perhaps the same way he was able to dupe he himself personally was able to do mainstream media, he figured maybe Nate was similarly successful in duping New York Times, Forbes, and NBC into believing he was a lawyer, even if he's not. So maybe his own personal experiences with how easy it is to deceive mainstream media. That's what I would say if I was his lawyer. Look, he saw it works. How easy it is. Anyone could do it. As self-described authority on Twitter trolling and manipulation, Bouzy was acutely cognizant of how the engagement he was generating on Twitter through his attacks on the popular Mr. Brody could be converted into an advertisement for himself in BotSentinel. So he published one. "While we wait on Nate the lawyer to locate his law license and the links to his New York Times, Forbes, and NBC articles, I will share my New York Times, Forbes, and NBC articles." Such a freaking...
I mean, he just couldn't resist.
Nope.
Or there's another explanation, which was that perhaps this was the only tweet that actually ever really mattered to him, and all the others were meant to get to this one.
That's a fair point.